Okay, so now let me minimize that. Okay, so here today I'm going to present about Azure machine learning and Power BI. I put it as my learnings because I have been working on this for the last, I think, 2.5 weeks. Finally got one part of it working at 12:30 today. So that's why I termed it as my learnings. So what my agenda is going to be today is I'm going to take you through what Azure machine learning consists of, and you can also do data flows um, using Power BI service and then get some AI insights. And also, I'll show you the one that is working for me, which is the Azure Machine Learning Studio Classic. So this is the only slide I have. So let's get into action demo. So I'm just going to log into my, yeah, this is my portal. Uh, I'm going to use two tenants. Mm, mm, one is my datacom tenant and the other one is my MVP tenant because you need Power BI Premium. So I thought I'll make something, but I'll um, show you all the uh, issues that I have faced. I'll try to let you know all the issues I have faced. Okay, so now here, I think everyone is, um, I'm assuming that everyone is familiar with Azure portal, which is the link is portal.azure.com, and then you can log into portal by using your datacom account. And for some of us, I think we have access to a resource group called Mocated EV2AE. That's where I have built the Azure Machine Learning Workspace. So for us, we should be in order to create all this, we should be a member of this subscription, the Azure in Open subscription. That is where we have the resource groups, resource group called MoCated. This is the one. And if we have that, then we can do whatever, pretty much whatever I have done. So what I've done is, first you need to ensure that you have a subscription and you need to ensure that you have a resource group. Then what you need to do is create a resource, and then in the resource you can create a whole heap of resources. I will try and find Azure machine learning, and then from the marketplace I'll find, and then you can create Azure machine learning. I'm not going to, okay, I'll just uh, hit there, but I won't hit create because I have already created it. So you just need to create it, and once you create it, um, it will create a resource. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into home. This is the Azure machine learning workspace that I have created. You can see the type. I just typed it as BB brown bag AML PBI. So I'm just going to go into it. So this is the Azure machine learning resource. This is how it looks after it gets created. It takes about, I think, 2 to 4 minutes to get that created. Now, once this is done, you see a launch studio. So I'm going to click on the Launch Studio. And here you can create models three ways. I'm going to go through two ways that I have created. I think, yeah, it's very slow. That's why I have turned off my, I think internet is slow. Okay, so now here, this is an interface where you can create machine learning models using notebooks, automated ML, and Designer. So first let us go through Designer because as it says, this is the easiest way, drag and drop interface from prepping data to deploying models. So what I've done here is I'm just going to go into Designer. This is how it looks. So here first step in the designer model is you need to create a pipeline. So here it says create a new pipeline using classic pre-built components. So once you do that, uh, I'm just going to open an existing one. It will create an authoring interface where you can drag and drop components. So what I've done here is I have created a regression model where we are going to predict automobile price data. So what I've done here is a where the components are, and here there you in the sample data, I just used one of the available sample data. There are 16 data sets that are available. So I used this one. So I just dragged and dropped here. And once I dragged and dropped here, so uh, first step is to select all the columns that we uh, need. So for that, we have a component called select uh, columns in a data set. Select columns in a data set. So you can see that. So I'm just going to, I just dragged it and then connected these two, connected my input data set to the select columns in a data set. So that's when, then what you can do is you can just double click on it, and then here you can edit columns. And then I just excluded the normalized losses column. So before that, we can visualize what is there in here. So I'm just double clicking that, and here you can see what the um, uh, data set contains. Hold on, close. So you can do resize copy preview data. So okay, so you can do that. So you can preview data. This has got 28 columns and 205 rows. And each one, you can select the each of the columns, and then it gives you the distribution of it and a lot of other mean, median, all the statistics. So that's how we can visualize the data. And I have included every column except for the normalized losses, because I think that has missing lot of missing data. And clean missing data, you can specify for all columns, remove all the missing rows. That's what I remove the entire row. That's what I have chosen. You can choose the cleaning mode as replace with median, or if there are any missing values, you can replace with median, or mode, whatever you want to choose. But I have chosen to remove the entire row. So now I have three steps here. I have imported the data set, selected the columns that I wanted, and then cleaned the missing data. Now, next step in creating the model is, out of the data set that we have, we split the data into two parts. One is the training part, and the other one is the test part. So we have two split data, and I can specify the split data fraction of rows. First, 70% of the rows should be used for training, and 30% of the rows should be used for testing the data. And I have used a randomized split. So you can specify whatever configuration that you want. And all this is connecting connection points are simple. In the clean missing data, there are two outputs. One is clean data set, and whatever the rows that have been removed, if you want to create another, get into another data set, you can connect that. I have not connected it. I just wanted the cleaned data to be used. And out of the split data, you get two outputs. One is the results that are that can be used for training, and the other one that can be used for uh, testing. And here I have just used linear regression. regression model. So uh, here uh, I haven't specified anything. I just use the normal whatever it is. The model was uh, given, so I just use the defaults. So now the next component that we need is, once we choose the algorithm that we want to um, use, then we need another component called train model. So you can just say train model, and then you will get the train model here. See train model, and then you can drag and drop. Now train model requires two inputs. One is what is the training data that we are going to provide it, and what is the algorithm against which the trained data the data should be trained. So this is the first one we will link to the algorithm, and then the second one we link to the trained data. Now after that we will score the model after training. And for scoring the model, we need to take the output from the trained model into the first node of the score model. And the second input that the score model needs will be the test data that is remaining from the split data. So which is the 30% of the you can specify 50-50. I specified 70-30. So the 30% rows will be used for testing this data. And then you can evaluate the model. The next last component is evaluate the model. So once we evaluate the model, uh, then you can submit it. I have already submitted, and okay, so looks like you can visualize the model. Score. Yeah, once you submit, then what happens is, yeah, it will use the pipeline that we have created. The pipeline name here is predict car prices, and then it needs a compute instance. So, for example, if I submit here, or if I look at the settings, so here this is what it uses. It uses the compute cluster. There are four kinds of compute instances. One is the compute cluster, Kubernetes compute, attached compute, and um, compute instance. I'm using the compute cluster for this one for training. And the name of the cluster is this, which I have created for training purpose. And I have given the data set that is being the data stored where the um, data is stored, because I just took the sample data set, so it's stored in a blob storage. And then I have trained it. So this is the uh, these are the settings that I've used, and I have already submitted. I don't want to submit now because it takes a bit of time. So now that the model is trained, what you can do is you can view the scored labels. So for that, just going to move this around, um, because that will be submitted as a job. So okay, so now that will be submitted as a job, and this is the job that was submitted. Yeah, this is the job that was submitted. Okay, this is the real-time inference. Just want to see all the jobs. Yeah, so this is the job that that was submitted, and then in the jobs you can actually see the score labels. Yeah, see this one. This has successfully run. That's why you are seeing the green. If something has failed, you see the red. So now here you can actually see the preview data and score data sets. Just minimize that. Went into the data parquet file, but here if I look at score data set, I think here you can preview data. Yeah, so in the score data set, you can actually see that here you get extra column where the score labels are created. So if we look at the actual price, that is 9639, and the score label was 10,909. So like that, there are some pretty uh, closer, some are really far away. So there is some kind of prediction involved. So once you are happy with the model, if you look at the evaluate part, just close this one. It gives you a lot of statistics like mean absolute. Okay, if we preview the data, preview the evaluation results, then you get it's taking time. Okay, so you see this is these are the statistics that you get, and main thing that we need to see is the coefficient of determination, where it's also known as the R squared value. This will tell how well a model fits the data. It's at the moment showing 86%. So now if we are happy with this one, then what we can do is we can actually create an infinite. The next step is to create an inference pipeline. And here we choose real-time inference pipeline. You can also create batch inference pipeline. So once you create the inference pipeline, then we can deploy the endpoint. So and then test the real-time endpoint. So here uh, I'm just going to open the real-time. Okay, so this is the real-time inference pipeline. The extra things, what happens here is once you create the real-time inference pipeline, you will get the trained model here, and there will be a extra web service input and also a web service output. So um, once you are happy with you need to make some changes with the selecting the columns and also the scoring the model. And once you are happy with that, then you can again submit this one, and that will again create another job, and then you can finally deploy the pipeline, deploy the real-time endpoint. So for that, you need to go to the jobs again and then go to real-time pipeline, and here you can hit deploy. And I have already done the deployment. And what for deploying, what we need to do is just we need to use the AKS compute, and also the compute uh, should have at least, I think, 4 GB, and also for it to work production won't work, so I just did dev test. So that's another thing that I have. And also here, you have to enable application insights here. Once you do that and deploy, then what happens is it deploys the endpoints here. Here you have, yeah. So this is the endpoint. First, initially I did production compute, so it didn't work. So I looked at this one. So here you have, if you look at the endpoints here, you have the detailed service ID, and also what the model ID is, and what the REST endpoint, Swagger URL, all these are there. And you can test this one by giving all the testing is unavailable here. You can consume. Okay, so this must have been not functioning. Let's look at the other one. Okay, so these are all not functioning, looks like. So you get the idea, right? So you can deploy the endpoint and then connect to the endpoint from Power BI. So Power BI part I'll cover a bit later. So this is the process that we need to follow for the designer part. Remember, there are, if we go in onto home, remember there are three types. One is the designer mode, where we don't need too much of a idea of the code. It's a low code option, and we can, if we just need to know the steps of building a model. Like, we need the input data, what are the transformations that we need, and what is the model that we need, what is the split that we are going to uh, what is the split ratio that we are going to use, and also the training the model, scoring the model, and evaluating the model. That is the designer. In the automated ML, what it does is, if you can automatically train and tune a model using a lot of machine learning algorithms, and it will automatically provide you with the best fit algorithm. So I didn't work on it, so I'm not going to cover that. Now I'm going to take you through the notebooks part. So this is Azure Notebook. So I'm just going to, you can go like this, go create new notebook, because I have already created the notebook. I'm just going to use that. So here I have created something called Predict Diabetes Notebook. So here I start here. First thing that we need is a compute instance. So I've created a compute instance called that one, BB something, BB notebook thing. And I use the data set. First thing I need to do is, I used data from Azure ML open data sets. So first step is to import NumPy library as NP. And also I had to install this package, Azure ML Open Datasets. Otherwise, I was not able to use so I have run that yesterday. So next step was to from the dataset from Azure ML Open Datasets, I am importing the diabetes dataset. So dataset, I'm creating a data frame called diabetes, and X and Y are two data frames. X underscore DF is the data frame, pandas data frame, and also YDF is another data frame. So those two are, this is the code that I have used to create that. So it is showing now XDF, and what it contains: age, sex, BMI, BP, S1, S2, S3, and S4. Those are the columns. Now, here I have used a ridge regression model, and and I have used the scikit-learn package. So imported this job lib, and then from the scikit-learn, I have used the linear model and then imported the ridge regression model and then fitted that and then created a pickle file. So this is the pickle file that you can see here. And then after that, the step is to register the model. So registering the model, you need the workspace that you are using and also the model and also the resource configuration. Here, I think I had some issues. Um, yeah, I think finally I got, yeah, this is, there was a warning, so failed to extract subscription, but still the model has been created. So if we look at the models here, my scikit-learn model was created. See, my model scikit-learn was created. So now I'll go back to the notebooks and yeah, this is some testing I was doing. And the last thing is just doing, this is also some testing to print out the resource group name and location of the region. And yeah, now next one, after registering the model, we need to score the script. So, so this is this code for scoring the script. And also we need to provide an environment to score the model. So this is the code for providing the environment to code the to score the model. And then finally we need to deploy the model. So service name is that I've given is my diabetes model and model. Okay, so that's the that's the model. That's the this thing that I have created. And here we can test the web service that we have created above. So for testing, we can import a JSON file and then output the payload. So print the output, and here it is predicting the 205 and 68 values. So that's the part. You can the reason why I'm showing you this is you can use Python code or R code to create the notebooks and then deploy your models, or you can use designer, or you can use AutoML. So there are also some tutorials which you can follow as well. So now for this, now I have done everything using Datacom account. Now if I try to import that, you look at the model, look at these models in Power BI. So if I go into here, um, for looking at the Azure machine learning models, what we need to do is we can have the test data, import the test data, which I have done for diabetes. Just imported the same data set, downloaded that, and then imported the same data set. And here, what we need to do is, if I go into home, you go into Power Query Editor, and then here in Home tab, you see something called Azure Machine Learning. So if I click that, so Azure Machine Learning model, this is what is the error that is coming up. So it's not showing me the models. The reason why this is I don't have a premium workspace in my Datacom tenant. And it's best for you to develop Azure machine learning models and then in access those models from Power BI within the same tenant. Otherwise, what you need to do is if you go to the if I go back to the workspaces here, let's say, yeah, this one, um, and go to the marketed. Yeah, if I go here and workspaces, if I go here, let's say if I go to this one, you need to give access somewhere. Yeah, here. See, this is the resource group, and you need to give in the IAM, you need to give access um, to the account that we are using, and also you need to have Power BI workspace. So here, if I view my access, I don't have access here. And I think I need some permission from somebody to be a administrator of this particular workspace. So I need to add. I tried adding myself, but I couldn't do that. So that's one of the limitations. So, and also if we want to access Azure machine learning workspaces in Power BI, you need to have a Power BI, what is it called? Power BI premium capacity. So that's why I'm not able to show you how to access these two models in my Power BI. So that is one option, the that of creating models. Now the second option is if I go into uh, my MVP tenant, which I have here. So here I have a premium environment. Okay, now here what you can do is you can create data flows and then access what is called AI insights. So I tried to do that. So here, first step is to create, sorry, yeah. First step is to create a data flow. So I have logged into Power BI service. If everyone can recognize, so Power BI service, if I go, first look will be this one. I'm logged into this as a MVP tenant. So my yeah, MVP tenant. So here I have in the workspaces, if I look at it, there is a diamond here. So this belongs to a premium workspace. So that is the workspace. And here I have you can create a data flow. So I'm just going to go and create a data flow. No, I want to create a data flow. So you can create a data flow with the input data and then create and train a machine learning model. So here you can add new tables. That's you can create a data flow using these four methods. We can just go add new tables, and then I think I have saved it. Yeah, this is the so here I can search for web and then web page URL, and then you can just provide anonymous and then go connect. I'm not going to create another data flow because I already have a data flow that is created, which is called online shoppers. So I'm just going to go there and then take you through the Power Query, the steps that I have done. 36. Okay. So here, if I go into edit, that's the data flow. And if I go into edit part, um, so here, this is the source, and that's the steps changing type. And also the first step that I have done is to, here the predictor column is revenue. So this revenue, what I've done is I have changed this to true or false in the next step. So if I click on the next step, so that has become true or false. And then I have filtered the rows where there are null just to remove them. So, and then I have saved this. Now, once you create the data flow, ignore these for the time being. Once you create the data flow, here you can see four buttons. You can create an incremental refresh. This is the properties, just to add description. And this, there is one extra thing where you can say apply ML model. So you can go and apply ML model. I'll just take you through the steps, but I won't apply the model because I have already done the model. So here it chooses the table that we have created. And here you need to choose the outcome column. And our outcome column is, we want to predict whether there will be a revenue or not. So that is the revenue. So I'm just choosing the revenue column and then going next. And the next step is choosing the model. So it's going to automatically suggest you the model. And here, because we have chosen the revenue outcome, what are we focused on? We want the true, right? All the true predictions. So label the predictions as true where the label is matched, and wherever there is a mismatch, do the false. And then in the next one, now we select data to study. Okay, so here it automatically goes through the data set and then suggests a few columns that are highly correlated with revenue, and it doesn't suggest some of the columns like administrative duration. What it's saying is, it says the reason as well: low correlation with revenue. I think most of them are low correlation with revenue. Yeah, no other this thing. And then you can go next and give the model name, and also go next. I'm not going to create that, so I'm just going to cancel it. As we have, once we finish that and train the model, what happens is it creates a training data and testing data. So yeah, and then also here you can see the machine learning models in this. So that has been created, and you can view the training report. It's already trained, so it's just creating the it's just showing us the report. And once it shows the report, hopefully it is showing soon, then you can say apply model if you're happy with that. You can see the top what do you call, top performance, top predictors, and hopefully it's coming 141. Okay, so here it says 93% model performance. You can see this, see the top predictors. Before I click there, we can see the confusion matrix here. What are the false, true, false negatives, false positives, and all those things. You can also increase the recall here, and also precision. So increase or decrease, whatever you want to do. So as you increase or decrease, these numbers change, and it also gives you the cost benefit analysis here. And there are 3 tabs to this report. So there is an accuracy tab as well. You can analyze these ones. I'm just going to go a bit fast now. And also it gives you the training details. What are the data featureization, final parameters, all those things. Model quality over iterations, and all the other things are shown. Once you're happy with the model, you can just apply the model. Now, once you apply the model, you can deploy it again. After deployment, after deployment, I'm just going to go into the online shoppers. Okay, location. Again, go into data flow. Yeah. So after we So now we are going to consume the model. So for creating the data model, you can actually, what I've done is I have already created something called shopper's intention, I think. Okay, something diabetes. Yeah, here also I'm logged in to, um, let's check the login. Logged into it as, okay, datacom. Sign out. Okay, okay, that is signed in. Now let's try and see whether our machine learning model is available or not. So the way to see it is go to Power Query Editor, Home button, and then go to Azure Machine Learning Model. So yeah, still it's not coming for some reason. I'm not sure. But what we can do is, if instead of using the desktop, what I have also done is there is something called, if we open this one and go edit, what we can see is there is something called AI Insights. Once this loads, yeah, see AI Insights, you can go and click that in the same tenant and see something. Oh, wait. Okay, so you can see something and then you can apply this. I think this is where I was getting a issue of um, yeah, some unexpected error. So let's leave that for now to run. Because I want to show you something else. The which one, which is the classic one. This has been around, I think, since 2013, I guess, the Azure Machine Learning Classic Studio Classic. So for that, you can just go studio.azureml .net and then log in. I signed in using the Power, the MVP account. And then here it's easy to create an experiment. So what I've created is I have created a very simple experiment. I just took a Titanic data set. I think most of you might be familiar with the Titanic data set. It is mostly used. Okay, let's view data set here. So view data set. Okay, I'm using predictive training. Okay. Mm. Yeah, you can visualize data set here. So it has 12 columns. Passenger ID, survived, whether the passenger has survived or not in the Titanic. What was the class of the passenger, name, what's the gender, age, and other columns. Um, and here what I've done is I have already shown you the designer mode. The designer mode arose from this Azure Machine Learning Studio Classic application. So I have selected the data, selected the columns. So this is also another thing that you can drag and drop. So I can just select and then columns in the data set and then drag and drop. So here I have selected launch columns. I've selected only these columns: survived, passenger class, sex, um, and age. And then split the data again, 0.7, so 70% train data and 30% test data. So, and here I have chosen two class decision forest, and then use that algorithm, and then use the train model component, and then use the training data set here, and then the test data set in the score model, and then evaluate. Okay, so this has changed. So evaluate the model. Once we do that, we can run it. I've already run it. And after running, if you are happy with the model, then what you can do is you can set up web service and then create a predictive experiment, which I have already done. Once you create a predictive experiment, what happens is it creates two other components, like the designer one. One is the web service output, and the other one is the web service input. Here I have made some modifications because we don't need survived data. So in the predictive experiment, you can see training experiment and predictive experiment. In the predictive experiment, I have added one more component called select columns in the data. And then here I have excluded the column named survived. So, and then made a bit change the web service output to come out here. Also, I have included only the scored. So if we visualize this, I've included to be only scored labels and scored probabilities. Because if we look at the scored model and visualize, here you have all the P class, age, and gender, and all those. And then we are getting the output as only those two columns. So once we do that, then from the predictive, you can deploy deploy web service. Once you click on that, then if we look at here in the models, train models, it will come up as a model. And here, uh, this is what I was able to get into Power BI. So I have created everything, and then all the web services are all created. Now, using R code, for this, we don't need any premium as well. So here, if I go to my Titanic, I'll show you the steps that I have followed. I have imported the Titanic data set. It can be the same data set, or it can be a new data set, because we want the predictions to be done. So here, the, the source is the Titanic data set, which is like this. And because we are including in our original data set, we have included only these columns. We need to make sure that we have only those columns. Otherwise, the R script is going to error out. And we need to change the data type of the age to this one, from decimal um, to whole number. So that's what I have done, and then filtered out all the nulls here in this, and then wrote an R script. So R script also, in order to get it worked, I spent some time. Okay, so now what we need for the R script is, we need the W's workspace ID, we need the authorization key, and we need the service name. And then we need the library called Azure ML. I had to do a lot of gymnastics for getting the Azure ML library to work in RStudio. So this is all the gymnastics that I have done. So install packages, remotes, and install packages, dev tools, all sorts of things. Uh, I thought Azure ML SDK would be sufficient, but it was not sufficient. So then again, I use the dev tools to actually install the Azure ML. Finally, made sure that in the packages, Azure ML is there. That's when it started working. So that's that's the RStudio part. Now, if we go back to the workspace, so for us, if we go into the settings, we will get the workspace ID from here. So that's the variable that I have created here in the R code. Let's say R code. So this is the workspace ID. And authorization tokens, you copy this one, the primary authorization token, and also service name. It will be in web services. And if we go into web services, I first copied this one, and then it gave an error called web invalid web service ID. Then went into configuration and then copied this one. Then it started working. So that's the service name that we have used here. Okay, here in this, the service name variable is not there. It's in this one. So yeah, service name is that. And then library. Once those are working, then we can use these data sets. So I created a data set called WS with the workspace function, and DS with, and we are consuming the service and the data set. I have finally created a DS data set which has both the data set as well as the score labels and probabilities, and then the output. So once I did that, uh, when the R script starts working, this is how the uh, output looks. So it creates a table, and then after you expand the table, this is what comes up. So finally, I was able to get the scored labels and scored probabilities, along with the survived and P class and the passenger class and um, the gender and the age. So this is where I got to. So now this data set we can actually utilize to do some visualizations and also do the test part of it. So yeah, I'm just trying to show you where the, yeah, there was somewhere you can test it. Can't remember now. So okay, so that's how I got it working. But I think if I think, and if I spend more time, now let's go back to the data flow. Okay, so here looks like it is working now. Okay, so here when I did data insights, yeah, when I save this and save and close, that's where I think I got the error. So this was not working. Hopefully, if it works, then well and good, we can consume the model, the data flow. So next step after this works is uh, for us to connect to, this is datacom. What we can do is we can actually get data from data flows, and and just show you that step. It's taking time. Yeah, so here it is showing what the workspaces that are available. So this is the, I got an error. 4 minutes. Let's see. Any questions so far? Too much of
I,
theory, technical.
I've got a question.
Yeah.
There's been lots of things where we've just had a look and it was quite fast and stuff. I would really like to take some of these things and explore it myself.
Yeah.
Will you when you upload the recording of this, will you also provide us the M scripts as
Sources.
well
Yeah.
as the
Yeah.
R
All
scripts
these.
and stuff that you've used so
Yes.
that
Yes.
okay, perfect. Thank
Yeah.
you.
I'll actually add a resource slide here, which I forgot here in this, and then upload it so that you can follow the step by step what can be done. Any other
Perfect. Thank you.
questions? Maybe. Okay, so it is connecting to the data flow. Yeah. I think when I tried close and apply after connecting, now it won't because it's processing. Cancel. Yeah, it will take time, but yeah. Uh, yeah, you can try it out. Yeah, this takes a bit of time, and sometimes it gets from I think from couple of days from yesterday it was giving me an unexpected error. So I was trying to troubleshoot that. So yeah, I will maybe provide you with these. I can't actually give you the Power BI files, but I can give you the step by step. This one, step by step guidelines as for you to practice as well.
Yeah, I think the scripts for the data flows or even just the M code for the things
Yeah,
would be good enough
sure,
to
sure.
just read through and see
Yeah,
what was done.
yeah, I'll give you the M code. Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay, so I'll stop sharing. Hopefully, all of you have learned a little bit. Maybe not learned, can retain little bit. Script. Okay. So that's it from me.
Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
Thanks.
Indra.
No worries.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
See you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I learned some stuff and I think I'll retain it as well. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.